I'm Dr. Sanjay Solanki.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Sanjay Solanki from Central Maharashtra, India, and I am co-founder of Homeopathy for Humanity with Tikva Susun, and we are partners doing this homeopathy teachings and everything together. And here is my friend, my colleague Tikva. Tikva.
Okay, thank you, Sanjay. Yep. So here we are again on Materia Medica Sunday, which is always a lot of fun. And sometimes it goes on for many, many days as we go through very long pieces of Materia Medica Pura. So here again, we are with our Materia Medica Pura by Samuel Hahnemann. And we have the handy screen share PDF. And we have made our way thus far to Asarum europaeum. Okay, so Asarum europaeum is actually still in use medicinally. And as I was looking at information about it, it was discussed by Cullen, and it's in Cullen's Materia Medica, the same Cullen's Materia Medica that Hahnemann was translating into German. And I found a nice copy of it on the Gutenberg project, which I put in the group today, just for anybody who's curious, because that is where Hahnemann got his idea to discover what pure materia medica means. You know, what are the proving effects? What are the true effects? What does a singular substance actually do to a human being? Because so much of materia medica till that time, until Hahnemann's time, and even today, because people are still using Cullen. You know, you have herbalists, they're using Cullen, and amongst other books, because it is, you know, it's a classic in the botanical world. And so we have here Asarum, and it is recommended in the herbalist circles not to use it without the assistance of a true herbalist doctor, because it can be very dangerous. So there are different types of Asarum, and the one that grows on the North American continent is a lot less dangerous than the European one. And it's a variety of ginger, and the root is used. Do we have the picture? I sent over pictures. You have the picture of the Asarum, Sanjay? I sent them to you this morning.
Accept.
People generally use the root medicinally. So let's look at a picture of the botanical.
One.
Yeah, that one and the other one. That's what it looks like. People plant it as an ornamental. It's very popular as an ornamental. And then that's hair dye, henna.
Sorry.
You want to see the other botanical print.
Yeah. Really very difficult to use this. Now?
Yeah, we can kind of see it. It's okay. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so Asarum is prepared with the spirituous tincture of the dry root of Asarum europaeum, or the juice of the whole plant mixed with alcohol. That depends on the rules of potentization and making the remedies, whether or not you're able to procure the dry root or the fresh plant. And as we know in our pharmacology, that those are two different preparations. And we continue. Even, this is now what Hahnemann says, even when the ordinary physicians have taken the trouble, which they seldom did, to ascertain by their own experiments the powers of simple medicinal substances, we can see how carelessly they want to work by such an example, among others, as the labors in this direction of, I guess it's Coast and Villemette, or Villemay, who in their prize essay entitled Essais sur Qualiques Plantes Indigenes, which was produced in Nancy, which would be in France, in 1778, pretend to give us, among others, a complete proving of Asarum. And what then did they discover from the trials they themselves made of it? Nothing at all of the remarkable symptoms recorded below, except that when given in doses of from 28 to 40 grains, it caused vomiting 5 or 6 times. So you remember that when we're talking this type of pharmacy, that the size of a grain is literally like the size of like a wheat kernel. So that's what they mean by grain. You could think wheat kernel size. So when they're giving doses from 28 to 48 wheat kernel size grains of this product, it causes vomiting 5 or 6 times. But what was the peculiar character of this vomiting, or by what dangerous symptoms it was accompanied? This they give no hint. So he's saying that they only say this and that there hasn't been the specifics. And as homeopaths, we deal entirely in specifics. The generalities, it causes vomiting, really doesn't tell us anything that we need to know with how to apply this medicinal subject, does it? This substance needs to have its characteristics brought out. We need to know how it affects a person in great detail, because without these details, it's basically useless to a homeopath. Because a homeopath never says, oh, take this and vomit, then you're going to get well. Do they? We don't. That just isn't something, if somebody ingested a poisonous substance, we would probably send them to the ER and get them their stomach pumped and whatnot. We're not going to say, oh, take this and vomit. We call that for medical assistance. So that type for allopathic assistance. So the fact that it makes people vomit doesn't really give us information that we need, because we need highly specific information about each and every substance that is proven, and we are given the proving data that we need, because we need to match that with what's in the data so that we know what's curable in people. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a cough. Okay. Further, the 48 grains given to a porter caused severe colic pains and violent vomiting and purging, which had to be allayed by a clyster of milk. So he got an enema of milk, and that helped him. Okay. And hence, as they imagine, this root must be regarded as identical in its action with ipecac. But it's not, is it? And did they do more than this? And is all the curative action that can be expected from it? How carelessly must they have acted in such an important matter when they observed nothing more and discovered no more medicinal uses for it? No, Asarum is as little adapted for employment as an emetic in the place of ipecacuanha, which also causes many other changes in the health of human beings, as many other substances, which when taken in excess, are also rejected from the system by forcible vomiting and such as arsenic, sulfate of zinc, acetate of copper, Asarum, album, etc. So Hahnemann's telling us that no, Asarum does not have the same properties of ipecac because it changes, a person how they feel differently than ipecac does, and that many things, when taken, will cause vomiting. And these are all very, very different substances. And just because something causes vomiting does not mean that it's going to cure vomiting in the same way, because these are all very, very different things. And then he goes to say, do all these substances, when taken in excess, cause dangerous vomiting, merely exist in nature in order that may use them as emetics? Emetics means something that causes vomiting. What short-sightedness? What dangerous superficiality? He's saying it's very superficial. And my remarks do not apply to only Coste and Villeneuve or Willemette. I'm not sure. I think they're French. Sorry, I got this little cough. But the same complaint be made of all our ordinary non-observers. Let me come to an interesting phrase here. Just a minute, please. Sorry, guys. I had a little bit of a coughing fit there. I caught a bit of a cold from my grandchildren over Pesach. And I'm still having a little bit of coughing when I'm doing a lot of reading. Okay, so then Hahnemann says, mutato nomine de te fabula narrator. Okay. Now, some of these words are very similar to English words. Fable, mutate, name, narratate. Okay, and that essentially means change the name and the story is also about you. Or even when the names are changed, the story remains the same. It means something like that in Latin. They will say, they will see and have seen almost nothing from the administration of all medicinal substances, but evacuations by the skin, kidneys, bowels, etc. For they have always sought to sweep out material, morbid stuff that has seldom any existence and have no idea of affecting cures in any other way. Okay, so in this type of old-fashioned allopathic medicine, they would try to sweat people, vomit people, purge people. Purging people means making them have diarrhea. And they would think that in this way that they were eliminating a dangerous substance from the body. And that's what he's saying, sweep out and evacuations, to release and to get rid of. So all these different kinds of proprietary medicines that were used in the olden days, and even still sometimes today, were used to stop different processes, to make things, things to excrete, to cause more urination, to cause sweating, to cause diarrhea, to cause vomiting, in order to help the person, quote unquote, get well. But Hahnemann had a new idea about that. If we take into consideration that these authors relate about their porter, about their porter in an offhand manner, as if it were a mere nothing because he did not die on the spot, together with what may be read in the following observations, it would seem to be highly probable that this fruit, when given in such a large dose, as that it shall excite that evacuation upwards, of which the Saberolitus are so fond, is capable of putting a human being in imminent danger of his life, and that consequently it may actually produce a fatal result, as was indeed seen by Weddell. Okay, so they're talking about the porter that had the proving in the famous essay that was given out in France that the root causes violent vomiting and purging. And since he did not die, they thought this would be okay. All right, so, but as homeopaths, clearly that doesn't really give us any information. Okay, that would indeed be a splendid, inestimable remedy which should remove the imaginary foulness of the stomach with no other disadvantage than palpable danger of life. So he's saying that we're going to give somebody something that might kill them. And he's just horrified. Hahnemann is horrified that we would indeed be a splendid, inestimable remedy which would remove imaginary foulness of the stomach with no other disadvantage than palpable danger of life. Then he says, preserve us from acting so barbarously towards our sick fellow creatures. So Hahnemann has a very, very strong argument about the giving of medications that can endanger people's lives by just merely giving this as a treatment. There are certain medications that are given nowadays that can kill people, and people take that risk in order to try to preserve their life. And so, but Hahnemann is saying that this is not okay and that this is barbarous. Barbarous means to be a barbarian. To be a barbarian is to be somebody who is, dangerous, unlearned, that doesn't know things, that just goes around just doing things without thought, without culture, without thinking. You think about cavemen, you think about Attila the Hun, So he's saying this is a very bad thing to just willy-nilly give things that could dangerously harm people in an attempt to cure them. Can anybody think of any modern day medicines that follow the same kind of lines of thinking?
There are too many.
Yeah, I mean, even if people take Tylenol every day, it can destroy the liver. Okay, so we continue. And he says, no, the beneficent preserver of life. That means God. The beneficent preserver of life, God, created this root for much nobler objects. That God created this plant amongst other plants to be used properly without endangering life. To cure, continuing with Hahnemann, to cure natural morbid vomiting accompanied by threatening symptoms like those of Asarum with the smallest dose of the excessively diluted tincture of Asarum. This is the first noble employment that we have to make of it, exactly the opposite of the murderous misuse of it, which is recommended in large doses as an emetic. So what do we say here? Anybody have any comment about this?
Okay, here tells that the medicine which is more dangerous in the large dose is first means talking about how marvelous it is in working in the minute or diluted form, you can say dynamic ways. It
It's interesting how Hahnemann uses the word noble here. What is nobility? Anybody know what the word nobility means?
Mm.
Yeah, so he says that we have a noble use for this, not just a dangerous way of making people vomit and purge in order to get something out of their system. And so he goes on to say that the misuse of large doses could surely not have been that we need to use things in a safe and sensible way, homeopathically, because in the homeopathic preparation, it will cure the same thing that it causes. And it will not be a murderous misuse. Okay, continuing with Hahnemann.
Is
What
it a
else?
poison plant?
Hmm?
Is it a poisonous plant?
Oh, yes, it's a poisonous plant.
Then, of course, usually if you give in material doses, it may lead to fatal, nah?
Yep, even today, when the herbalists use Asarum in material doses, they recommend that it only be done under close observation. And they have a number of different uses for this drug, yeah, other than just making people vomit. But it's also used for colds and all kinds of different ailments. But it's rather dangerous, and it's in the more dangerous category of herbal medicine and not to be used just by people in their homes. Okay, so what else can it do in the way of homeopathic health may be seen from the other symptoms detailed below, which to the thoughtful physician require no elucidation, nor is it necessary to give any other indication of the disease is curable by it. Can we explain that, Sanjay, while I cough again?
Elucidation means
study. Study.
okay.
Paragraph In this paragraph, we see what else it can do in a way of homeopathic help may be seen from its other symptoms detailed below, which to the thoughtful physician required no elucidation, means requires no study, nor it is necessary to give any other indication of the diseases curable by it. No elucidation means to study. Elucidation means to study.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yep, to the thoughtful physician, and therefore the homeopath, we don't need any more information than what is going to be detailed to us in the proving data, because that will show us exactly what we need to know in order to use this as an actually curative homeopathic medicine. Continuing with Hahnemann, the homeopathic prescriber, practitioner, who does exactly the opposite of that which the ordinary medical school has hitherto enjoined, knows how to make a better use of this mighty gift of God. He never misuses it for the production of such involuntary breakneck upsettings of the human organism. Even our domestic animals should be spared these cruelties, practiced under the name of veterinary medicine. Okay, so he's saying here that the homeopath knows that God has given us these substances and to use them carefully and without misusing it and without harming people. Even for animals, we should use these things instead of harming them. Now, how did it used to be just, 50 years ago? To get rid of tapeworm, people would take large quantities of, let's say, magnesium or other things to make them have, copious diarrhea. And then they would take, I can't remember what it is. It's something like copper sulfate. And that would kill like liver worms and tapeworms. And that would be after purging. So even up until recently, people were purging. You hear all the time about how people have their purgings before they have their endoscopic investigations. Okay, know the Creator. No, the Creator wished that we might learn to overcome great diseases by means of powerful medicines having similar symptoms. Hashtag homeopathically, in the parentheses, homeopathically. That means like cures like. So whatever is produced by a substance will then cure the same things in a person whose vital force is displaying that symptom. So the symptoms of like cures like in doses of the smallest size and therefore incapable of doing harm. He did not create them in large quantities in order that we should give them in large doses, inflict injury on the noble human race without affording relief, as in the case of ordinary allopathic treatment. These substances are ordained by nature for very different ends and purposes, all of which we do not yet know, and for which they have been produced in great quantities. Nothing has been created for one single object. On the contrary, the purposes of their useful production are manifold. Okay, so Hahnemann's saying that God created us substances And instead of inflicting injury with them, we should turn them into homeopathic medicines, find out the pure indications, and then use them without harming others. These substances are ordained by nature for very different ends and purposes. Okay, we already went through that. And if among these their utility as medicines is included, the large supply nature affords us of them cannot warrant us to misuse them in great doses for disease. Thus, for instance, arsenic has undoubtedly other important uses in the divine economy, for we can only employ a very small portion of the many hundreds of tons of it which Saxon Erzgebirge alone can furnish for a useful medicinal purpose. So he's saying that there's reasons why these substances are in the earth or on the earth, growing here in the dirt, etc. And there are many reasons that we don't necessarily understand why God put them here for us. But the amount that we need in order to cure disease is a very small fraction of what is available to mankind. Okay, then he continues. According to Coste and Willemay, vinegar is an antidote to Asarum. Camphor is apparently efficacious in alleviating the injurious effect and its employment in suitable cases or in large doses. One of the things I really like the best about Materia, Medica, Pura, and Hahnemann's proving data in particular is that he gives us generally the modifiers. So when we've given too much of a remedy to somebody, we know where to turn and what to use in order to alleviate the symptom of having had too much medicine. Now, this is not well shown here with the Asarum about vinegar, because he's only saying according to Coste and Willemay vinegar. But in general, before each proving data, he will give us the modifiers of the action of too strong a dose of medicine according to its type. So there's oftentimes a number of different options, and we need to ask specifically what somebody's aggravation is so that we can apply the appropriate remedy as needed. And then he continues, a quadrillionth of a grain in the form of diluted solution of the alcoholic tincture and the quintillionth solution
Mute him.
Can everyone put themselves on mute?
Yeah. You know, somehow I forgot how to mute people. But we're almost done.
Mute all.
I forgot where to mute all from.
Participant list.
Participant list.
Click on participant.
Okay, we have invite. We're trying. We only have like 2 sentences left. Mute all. Got it. Got it. There we go. Aside from me coughing, we are muted. Okay. All right. That's me too. Am I muted? Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, I was just saying that I like the way before each proving data is presented, Hahnemann gives us information about what to do if things go wrong. Okay, so he says a quadrillionth of a grain in the form of a diluted solution of the alcoholic tincture and the quintillionth dilution of the freshly expressed juice mixed with an equal quantity of alcohol in the dose of a drop or a small portion of a drop appear to be the best doses for homeopathic purposes, which is interesting. He's not talking about dynamizations here. Why do we think that is? He's talking about dilutions, not dynamizations. Or does he imply dynamization? What do you think, Sandra?
Dilution is just making it more dilute. Not about, he's not talking potentization.
Are we sure that he's
Using
not implying potentization? What do you think, Sima Kumaran? Is he implying dynamization by using the words? Quintillionth and quadrillionth? Well, and then Hahnemann says he gives the provers that assisted in the proving of this medicine. Franz, Hornberg, Ruckert, and Steff. And that the following old school authorities are cited, Coste and Rudime, the ones that he speaks so poorly of, Helmont, Murray, Ray, Weedle. And the first edition has 268 symptoms, and only 2 new symptoms appear in the second edition. And now we come to the proving data, which will be when? When should we do the proving data? When are we doing the proving data?
yes, Naomi.
Naomi?
Next week.
That's right. Yep. Next week, hopefully I won't be coughing and we will go through the proving data. There's not that many, so we'll try to get as many as possible in, but at least the bolds. Because when we, and then we come, the next remedy after this one is Aura Metallica. It's gonna be so much fun.
Tikva,
Yes.
I just wanted to add one thing that might be useful for people to know, because I got home, I'm looking at my concordances in the Demetriadis, and I also have as an antidote, wait a minute. Acetum, as well as camphor.
Good.
So if people, if you want to note that in case you ever need to antidote it, so just thought I'd share.
Yes, thank you. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here for. Okay, yeah, so does anybody have anything they want to say about what we have read thus far in this remedy?
Can we continue Asarum proving that because it having very minimal symptoms now, ma'am?
Did you hear me coughing and how many times I had to mute my phone? I mean, my computer so that I could go gagging in the hall. It was terrible. If somebody else wants to read Kola Kavod, but clearly coughing is, talking a lot is making me cough. I caught a cold from my grandchildren and it's a little rough. So for me, it would be a lot easier to continue next week,
Welcome.
especially since nobody else is willing to read the proving data.
I'll read a bit. If people want, I'll at least do the section, the head section with the vertigo. Maybe
Okay, please,
through-
yes.
If you
Okay.
want. If you
Yes,
want.
we want.
Okay, all right.
You can
I'm
come
not
around
familiar
us.
with this myself either, but okay, here goes. Vertigo as from slight intoxication on rising from a seat and walking about after 10 minutes. Do you want me to give the initials of the prover or just leave that?
And then sometimes you have to explain what it meant.
Okay, let's see.
Because we have people here who don't speak English fluently.
Okay, all right, let me try it. So vertigo, which means your head is spinning, or you feel as if your head is spinning, as if from a slight intoxication, meaning as if you had perhaps had alcohol, as you're coming up out of your seat and walking around. And this happens after about 10 minutes after the provers took the remedy. Okay, and then he had, is that
Perfectly
okay?
done. Perfect.
Okay. And then he does not notice things about him. Shall I explain?
Mhm.
I don't know how to explain that. Um, it means he might not be aware of things going on around him.
Yeah.
For example, if somebody walked into the room, if a door slammed, he's just not aware of it. Next we have, and this is in bold. What I've read so far is not bolded. This is, oh, you have it in front of you. Okay, sorry. Okay. Mental condition as if just falling asleep. A gradual vanishing of the thoughts. So please correct me if I'm wrong. This sounds like his ability to think and be cognizant is impaired, as if he had fallen asleep or if he were falling asleep. And his thoughts are, I'd say, how do you say cognizant thoughts? Thoughts which are lucid are leaving him. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're doing great. This is gonna be
Okay.
your new job.
Oh, I don't know about that. Okay, let's see. Thoughts so overstrained that they vanish completely. I think that this means that he has to work so hard at focusing on his thoughts or thinking what he's thinking, that the thoughts just go out of his head. He is quite stupid in his head and has no inclination for anything. This sounds to me as if he's just incapable of thinking at that moment and has no sort of desire. Well, it says for anything. I'm not sure if that means, to follow through with a thought or to do something, do a task that he needs to do.
Yeah, there's clearly incapacity for thinking and functioning and noticing the surroundings in this remedy.
Right, right. Okay, the next one is incapacity for any work, and he can do nothing. His mental powers fail him before each attack of vomiting. Afterwards, somewhat better. I'm going to go up to here so far. So he is really incapable of doing any work. He can't do anything. And especially before he vomits, his ability to think, his mental powers really fail him. He is not capable of thinking clearly. And he goes on to say that after he vomits, then the mental state gets slightly better.
Mhm.
Let's see. As a rule, his reason is defective all throughout the medicinal disease. So it seems to me that this means that his ability to think things through is defective, or he is not capable. While the disease is, while he is in the disease state, shall we say. Please correct me if I'm saying something wrong.
Yeah, no, what you're saying is absolutely on point. But I want to bring up a fact here that this is in brackets. Okay, so we have proving number, let me refer to my book, proving number 1, proving number 2, proving number 3, and proving number 4 are actual homeopathic provings. When we go to proving number 5, proving number 6, proving number 7, proving number 8. These are from journal entries and they're in brackets. So
Okay,
this is
wait a minute.
poisonings.
Okay, I don't have that. Wait a minute. You have Berica's edition? What do you have there?
I have my B. Jane Boricki.
I do also.
Yeah? Why don't you have
I don't know.
you should have the brackets denoting whether or not it's proving data or poisoning data from a historical record.
Are you talking about the brackets at the end of each symptom?
Yeah, because in the proving data, we have bracketed symptoms and occasionally we have parentheses.
Uh-huh,
Brackets and parentheses mean different things in the proving data.
uh-huh,
Parentheses mean that it's a questionable symptom,
uh-huh,
and brackets mean that it's a poisoning or a journal entry.
uh-huh. Why would the parenthesis mean that it was a questionable symptom?
Because the prover wasn't sure 100% this was
Uh-huh.
definitely brought on by the substance.
Wait, I'm just checking something. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So far, and it looks like you have it too in the text here. These all have brackets at the end. So,
Ma'am, 5, 6, 7, 8. In all these brackets, it's mentioned L.RKT.
I'm not quite understanding.
That's LRKT from the
Oh,
journal.
Right.
whatever
Is
it
that a
In
prover?
symptom number 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, is from a journal entry.
Oh, that
Ma'am,
is?
what's the explanation for that?
And we're not
So,
exactly sure
you can
who
see
that
this
is.
one. At this.
Hmm?
Oh, L. Rucker. Okay, then that shouldn't be in a bracket. That doesn't make sense. Maybe there's an accident here. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I've been coughing too much.
Yeah.
You're getting some of the remedy, you're getting the spirit of the remedy there.
Yeah,
right?
no, Tikva messed up. Okay,
Yes.
let's backtrack.
Yes.
I messed up.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's also
I
proving
messed
symptom,
up.
ma'am. 5, 6, 7, 8 also proving symptom, ma'am. It's not from toxicology.
Yep, sorry, guys. Tikva messed up. that happens. Thank you for, I'm glad that we sorted through this.
So,
Okay.
so brackets does not mean that it's from,
No, this is just saying it's the prover. Never mind, just never mind. See how it says Franz with RZ? It's the same thing. I'm just not used to seeing this prover. This prover is not commonly used. So I just got confused because I have a little bit of a cold and I've been coughing and, I just forget it.
no,
right?
but what you said about the brackets is not correct?
No, what I said about brackets is correct.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see it later on with something that is actually correct because I just made just a error here. Sorry, guys.
Can we just read what's in bold and not go over every, like to go over just the ones that stand out, the bold?
Oh, look, see, we could look at symptom 111. About
11?
retching. I'm gonna start retching because I'm gonna cough and I'm
Wait.
gonna gag and I'm gonna retch and then I'm
Do
gonna.
you want us to, do you want us to continue next week? Should we, because I need to ask you questions and I don't want to make you talk anymore.
Yeah, I'm really coughing.
Yeah. Maybe we should just put a mark where we left off. I want to
Mhm.
ask you one last question, if that's okay.
Yep, I'll try.
I thought that
Yes,
in the
yes,
proof, I thought that in the provings, it was just from the provers. I thought the poisoning reports were something separate and not in the Materia Medica. I could be wrong.
No, they are in the Materia Medica, but
They are,
they're not
okay.
always referenced. And I don't see. Does anybody see?
In arsenic, he has mentioned those record as well.
Yes, for
Because,
sure.
yeah,
There's
and
lots of them in our.
some remedies he mentioned, and some remedies there are some pure symptoms.
Yeah, for example, okay, go back to arsenicum and we have 1065, 1066, 1067 in arsenicum is a poisoning journal entry.
Ma'am, what mentioned in that brackets, ma'am? In
It says,
1066, symptom
pile,
number 1066
camel.
of arsenicum.
Yeah, after death, the lips and the nails of the hands and feet quite blue. Also the glands penis and scrotum quite blue. The whole body and especially the limbs quite stiff and contracted. The large intestine very much contracted. And that's from a poisoning, clearly, page 106. So I don't really see very many, if any, journal entries in Asarum. Sorry about that little miscommunication there. I'm glad we sorted through that. Yeah, so sometimes we only do the bolds. Sanjay, you talk. Oh, here's one. Here's one. 76. 76. On the left cheek, a contractive pain accompanied by gentle but sharp blows, withdrawing pain in the third molar, nope, the next one down, 77. Produces in the nose a discharge of bloody mucus. That's Murray, Apar Med 3, page 159.
519.
Mhm. So that is a journal entry, Murray. Something of medicine 3, page 519. So that's some kind of other not proven data done in potency. Okay. Okay, people, thank you very much. And like I said, this is a lot of fun, at least for me to go through these things. And we learn a lot. We really do about what, how the remedy really is. We get a different picture altogether than we do by learning other Materia Medicas. And so yeah, sometimes, like Devera said, sometimes we only do the bolds due to lack of time. But the proving of Asarum is pretty small. So if everybody wants to take turns reading through it, we can do that next week, later. That would be good. Hopefully I won't be coughing.
think doing only bold definitely it tells you the specific symptom of the drug, but it does not create a link between the symptoms.
Mhm.
So to understand the remedy better, I think it's good idea to go through each and every major or minor symptom.
It's a good idea also if anybody has a case that they actually, a successful case, that they prescribe the remedy. Each time we go over a remedy, at least something that we don't use often, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, because as we come up to things like belladonna, those are a dime a dozen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think I've used Asarum just only a couple of times.
right. So that would be great if you can share even the 1 or 2 successful cases that you had using it. That would be, for me at least, it would really bring it more to life because I never used it.
Question is, do I have them in my files? And
Well, I'm sure you have it in your head.
where would I have it? I mean, I think I last used it at least 5-6 years ago. I
Mhm.
wouldn't even know. I don't even remember who. I'm not sure I'd be able to. How about you? Anybody else? We have a whole group of people here. Who's used Asarum? They can pull up a case.
Or if someone could even create a case, like of how it would fit and what it would look like. A real case would be better, of course, but
I will try to find in the records.
okay,
I
great.
use this remedy a long time back, but need to find where my diaries, old diary. I will try to find still next Sunday.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, if you have a case of Asarum that you can locate, that would be good. I
Yeah, I
have
had, but
them.
it was a long time back when I was writing cases in diaries.
In where?
There is a book, diary.
That's a long time ago then.
Like you mentioned,
almost 20, 22 years back.
it's like because
But
you mentioned it causes vomiting, just like Ipecacuanha, but it's different. So I would like to see what makes it different. When would a person need that as compared to Ipecacuanha? Just to bring it to life more.
Well, I think that as we read through the proving data, that's going to bring it to life.
Okay.
That's the point of
Um,
reading the proving data.
I know. For me, I guess I need to still see it, hear about a case. I mean, like a simple, not just to.
Siva Kumaran, do you have a case of Asarum?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I even don't have this remedy in my clinic because I am a few of drugs from the Honeyman's Medica Pura. I ordered, but I didn't get till date, ma'am, because I used to buy only in 3 companies like Honey Hapco, or in Remedia homeopathy from Austria, like that. So I didn't get such remedies, ma'am.
Doesn't SBL sell,
No, ma'am, I don't believe SBL. I don't use SBL medicine. No,
mhm.
actually, I prescribed lycopodium in one case from medicine, but it didn't work.
Huh.
After buying from uh, Hapco, I applied lycopodium. It worked well. So that after that, I stopped using medicine SBL all.
I have a
I
number
believe.
of medicines from MedSynth and they're fine. You
Oh,
must have gotten a bad batch. Don't you have a bunch of SBL medicines, Sanjay?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
bought a
my
lot.
stock,
Yeah.
my stock is very old. Present medicine are very good. You can see this medicine. It's 1994.
oh, super.
So old medicines were good, but this present some medicines are not really.
Yeah, a lot of my stock is Boreon and also Dolisos from America. And then I have a substantial amount of stock from India from when I've been there because stock costs a lot less money in India. But then, using water dosing, we use so little medicine that it's much more cost effective. But then our Indian homeopaths give out a hell of a lot of saclac that they have to buy. Right, guys? Saclac users, huh?
I think Saclac is great.
Mhm. Yeah, but
I've
it's
used
so-
it. I've used it and it's fabulous. Yes. Mm-hmm.
it is, but it's so hard sometimes to like actually get people to use it, because of just different logistical reasons in like my practice. It's just, it can be very complicated. Why do you want me to take this? And what is this? And people always have 1,000 questions about what they're taking. They don't just blindly trust the homeopath.
Right. When I studied with Shmuel Shalev, he, first of all, he never told them the remedy that he was giving anyway. So whoever got a remedy from him had no clue what it was. So when they came back the next time, and if they got Saclac, they had no idea because they didn't know the first time what they were
Yeah.
getting.
Yeah, but
And
nowadays, working through Zoom and working with people in different countries, you have to
Right.
tell them what to order, what to go and
Right,
buy.
right. He won't work with people like that. It's only in person, right? He will not work over Zoom and he will not, no. He's very, very old fashioned and it has to be in person and the way he wants it. Yeah. Yeah, when you work with people abroad, it's difficult.
It is. I mean,
Mhm.
because, I still have patients, abroad. And of course, I have, friends and family that are my patients
Mhm.
abroad. And I literally have to tell them what to pick up at the store.
Right, so we do the Francine and I have also sent Saclac to people in the States.
You found a way to do it?
We bought it here and we mailed it.
Oh, okay. All
We
right.
literally mailed it, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, that works.
Yeah. Because actually you can't buy it there. So if we tell them it's a remedy that is not available there, it's actually true.
Yes.
So, so no guilt. We feel good, we feel quite okay doing it.
Yep.
When necessary, of course, not just,
Yeah,
not
because I
just for the.
mean, how many people do we see as Western practitioners that are expecting to take medicine 2, 3 times a day?
Mhm.
They're just
Right.
not. They just know enough about homeopathy that they know that that's probably not what they're going to do. Unless, of course, they have, a bad flu or something. Then they know
Mhm.
that. But if they have something chronic, people pretty much are aware that they're okay. So should we
Is
meet
it,
next week? Oh wait, somebody, yes, Siva, come on.
ma'am? Is it better to accept or let the patient to vomit or to eliminate the diarrhea as natural, because as a natural process it is a elimination, because what naturopathy says, accumulation of filth is disease, the elimination of filth is cure. So what they suggesting, when a patient get vomiting or diarrhea, it is a natural process of cleansing by it's a process of body's own process of cleansing. So
Right.
why should we interpret by remedies in this process? That's what they asking. Like that, is it? What do you think about this?
Oh, well,
As a
there's a lot to
homeopath,
say about that. Yeah, and Hahnemann talks about it too. If somebody has, let's say, one bout of diarrhea or one bout of vomiting, their body's just kind of cleaning up whatever's gone wrong, right? But if somebody's having repeated bouts of vomiting and repeated bouts of diarrhea, and they have a fever and they're clearly ill, then, we need to do something about it because, they might be seriously sick and we need to give aid and comfort. But if somebody just goes, eats way too much and throws up one time and then goes to bed for the night and they wake up in the morning and they're okay, we don't need to interfere in that process. It's like, how Hahnemann says in the chronic diseases that, overeating can be solved by fasting. But now he doesn't mean fasting for the next 2 weeks, but just enough time to clear out the system. He even recommends give people to drink coffee in that situation, to help speed up the process. So yeah, as long as nothing dangerous shows up, we can let people have an episode of diarrhea. We can let people have an episode of vomiting. Let's say somebody has had too much wine and they vomit once or twice. We don't necessarily need to give them medicine because their body is getting rid of a poison. But if it becomes severe or protracted or prolonged, then we would consider giving medicine, in my opinion. And Hahnemann mentions that too. But if you have a patient that's hysterical, I usually, even with my own kids, I'll let them get sick, I'll let them throw fevers, I'll let them have vomiting or diarrhea within reason, because you want the vital force to take care of things as much as possible. We don't want to always be giving medicine. Anybody else have something to say about that?
I
Yeah,
agree.
it's
I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
I remember Hahnemann does talk about that. There, you have to let the vital force do its own work, sometimes without even interfering with a remedy, with a medicinal substance.
yeah, indispositions and mishaps are different than, let's say, typhoid. Somebody gets typhoid, we want to treat it. Somebody gets cholera, we must treat it. We need to. It is our obligation to help people. But if somebody's simply overeaten too much rich food and they feel like barfing and then they go barf and then they're okay the next day, they could just say, maybe don't do that next time.
for example, in nausea, if you use ipecac, like that remedies, even we won't give a single attempt to the body's attempt. We can't give a single chance to body's attempt na to vomit. Even in your point, for example, it may be indisposition or 1 or 2 times vomiting. Hanuman suggesting the elimination. For example, if a patient comes with nausea, we select remedies like Ipecac. That patient's body doesn't have a single chance to get elimination. Nah?
Yeah, maybe one of our Indian homeopaths can touch more upon this subject because, in my practice, nobody's going to call me after they've just vomited once. They're just not. They're going to wait and see.
Okay. We should
Yes,
wait for.
Sanjay?
See, nausea, just and sensation. Vomiting episode is another part. Patient may have nausea followed by vomiting. Patient may have just an episode of nausea for long time. We don't know how long it is. And there is vomiting. Actually, uh, after that sensation of nausea, but not always should be for prolonged time. So nausea
Yeah,
is very short.
yeah, and if it
Sometimes,
happens frequently, it needs, deeper help, with one of our antisporics,
yeah,
most likely, as opposed to an incident. An incident is different than a tendency. You might have an arsenicum, it's a patient that needs arsenicum that has a tendency to having a lot of digestive upsets on a regular basis. And that needs to be handled, on a deeper level, to remove that propensity to be ill, as opposed to a one-time event of, I wouldn't interfere in just a one-time event kind of thing. But, if something's like a real illness or a propensity where they're getting something over and over and over again, then for sure I would address it. But probably with one of the antisporics.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, anybody else? Anything else before we close up shop? Okay, everybody good?
yeah.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you, really.
No, Naomi, I'm so happy that you joined us. Now you know what you've been missing out on.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Huh?
you gotta join us next time.
I'll try. I will do my best.
Well, there's
Where
always
are
the
you?
recordings,
Right.
but it's
Naomi,
not
ma'am,
quite as,
where are you from? Ma'am,
yes.
Naomi
where's she from?
is asking Naomi where is she from?
Yeah, Naomi, where are you from? He's
Oh,
asking you.
originally or now? I'm from the United States, from California,
She's
uh,
from where I grew up.
right nearby.
Mhm.
And then I lived in France for a few years, and now I live in Jerusalem in Israel.
As of now, you are in.
In Jerusalem, in Israel.
Okay, okay. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Nice to
Today,
meet you.
one of my friend joined in this meet, ma'am. Ashok. He is my classmate.
Oh, hello, classmate Ashok.
Hi, ma'am.
Thank you for joining us, and please come next time.
Okay, definitely, ma'am. I come early. Now and I late only I will see the message. Definitely I will join next time early.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, we usually meet on Sunday evenings and Thursday evenings.
Okay, ma'am, definitely.
And I'll put it, I'll give it to Siva Kumaran and he can share it with you. Or we can add you to the group.
Okay, definitely.
We have the notifications group. So if Siva Kumaran gives your contact information, we can add him to the group.
Sure, Sharma.
Okay, thank you, Siva Kumaran, for joining your friend.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank
welcome
you,
Ashok.
Dr. Ashok.
And thank you, thank you.
Okay,
You know
guys.
me.
What's that?
Thank
Jay?
You
you.
know me. I was thanking Nomi for joining
Oh.
us.
Oh, thank you. Really. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate you all and this group. It's really a real treasure. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, guys. Till next time.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.